Good afternoon, everyone. Driving to Las Cruces. I'm pretty much using the back roads, Old Mesilla. It's pretty amazing road. It's hard to believe, we're right here in the middle of the desert, and you have a beautiful road like this. Pretty much you're driving along the countryside, surrounded by orchards, pecan orchards. You have farmland. You have ranches. Very beautiful stretch of road. There's La Union. This road takes you all the way to Old Mesilla. Old Mesilla in New Mexico, and we're approaching the old corn maze. Well, there's something going on. There's a lot of vehicles right there. It could be open. It's already harvest season, so yeah, it's already open. You can tell. But for fall festivities, this is an awesome place to come to. You have a corn maze, celebrating the fall festivities, celebrating the fall, celebrating Halloween. As you can see, you can see the corn maze right there. Fall is here, and you can tell by the vegetation, you can tell by the farmlands full of growth. Harvest season is upon us. I was right here driving along the stretch of road, and I saw this building right here, and I've noticed that this building is made out of adobe. I don't know what this building was used for in the past, but it's vacant. It has pretty much people have a tag going over it, but it's vacant and it's made out of adobe. Let me show you. I just want to show you the beautiful scenery right now on Old Mesilla Road. Pretty much there's I don't know, I think that's corn right there. That corn has been harvested already. As you can see, there's other farmland across, and those mountains over there, pretty much those are the Franklin Mountains over by El Paso. That's pretty awesome view right now. But right here you can tell, see, the building's made out of adobe. Very old building. I don't know what it was used for in the past, but it's a very old building. Pretty cool building to see. This old stretch of road here in Old Mesilla. See over there, straight ahead to our right, you see the beautiful Oregon mountains that you can see from Las Cruces. Then over here to our left, you can see the majestic desert of New Mexico. Pretty much desert as far as the eye can see. Well, check out this church right here. I'm driving Old Mesilla, heading towards Mesilla, and I drove up to this church right here, made out of stone. To be honest with you, I don't even know if it's an old church. I don't know how old it is. It's made out of stone, but who knows? It could be a much newer church, or it can be over 100 years old. Who knows? There's a nice, very beautiful church right here. Very beautiful. We're about to enter my favorite part of the trip, my favorite part of this road, where the trees pretty make a little tunnel. They make actually a vast tunnel. It's about, I don't know, I think it spans over like about a mile. Where the trees from each side of the road, the branches meet at the top, creating a tunnel. Very beautiful part of the road. Awesome. I love it. The Las Cruces Convention Center. This wasn't here when I was going to NMSU. Up ahead is New Mexico State University. Pretty awesome school to go to. Pretty awesome school to attend. My old alma mater. Oh yeah. Bulls. Those are the skinniest bulls I ever seen. Well, today we're going to explore the Farm and Ranch Heritage Museum here in Las Cruces. A museum dedicated to the lifestyle of farming and ranching. So let's go inside and explore.
built for his Model T that he bought, and unfortunately the Model T got out of here because he had such a great blacksmithing job that all his tools went in here, and he got rid of the Model T, and I'm not sure where the Model T, we got the old logs, all right, out of here. The blacksmith shop is the place we'll stop afterwards. Right?
Okay.
Right,
Okay.
but they brought with them, this is a orno, and it's H-O-R-O-N. It's made out of clay. The damage you see was done by the rain that we've had. We've had a lot of rain this fall, monsoon season, etc. So the Indians really got into this, and I think it went across the Pecos River in Roswell, New Mexico.
Okay.
And then it got damaged, and we inherited this dam, etc.
It's a mineral with corn stalk, molasses, wheat, grain, and oats. While she's doing that, it gives me an opportunity to work on her. The first thing you do is called stripping the bag, stripping the teeth. Between the bag area, the teeth area. So again, this is the first inspection. Check, you can see that splashing all the way around. So it is. If not, it can be something as simple as I put the claw on and off. Or there's some
Demonstration of
we know there's not.
milking a cow.
As she's going, we look at it as a whole. We look for any discoloration, any pink spots, any brown spots, or any clumps of any kind, as all these are signs of infection. But she's healthy, so we don't have to worry too much about her. We do log her every day. We go over a checklist every day with her.
So the roping cows?
They're roping cows, yeah. They're roping Corrientes. You heard him talk about Corrientes. Corrientes was a type of breed that was brought over here by the Spaniards. We have a pin here. These Corrientes traveled very well on the sea. They didn't get sick. They adapted to their environment very easily. They adapted to the Southwest and the heat involved in the Southwest. This is our Hereford. This is our big bull. This is I think my favorite bull, because I grew up in the Midwest, and this is the type of cows or cattle they had in the Midwest. All right. So this bull weighs about 2,500 pounds.
Okay, what I'd like to do for you is take a piece of 1/4 inch rod, and we're going to use approximately 2.5 inches to make a nail traditionally, and end up with what was known as a cramp head nail. In other words, the head of the nail will have 3 sides to it, coming to a small point near the center of the head.
Oh, okay.
The nailers, that was merely a nickname given to people that made nails. The majority of them were in an apprenticeship under a master blacksmith. Before they could work on a nail, they had to have this tool known as a hot hardy. It's made 2-cup hot metal, and a number of head setters. And in just a few minutes, you'll see why they gave that name to this particular tool. I do burn temperatures up to 3,600 degrees Fahrenheit. And all I'm doing now, as you can see, is blowing in air. And a hand crank blower such as this was first introduced in the mid-1800s. Bituminous coal has been the primary heating source for blacksmiths since 1853. Prior to that, mainly hardwood charcoal. And all you're really doing is stretching the length out as you make it smaller in diameter. Now, pretty well lost the coloring in the nail portion, so we know it is cooling off. Go to the hardy, measure the nail or the material, and cut. Now, between the color and the way it feels under the hammer, I know I've definitely lost too much heat to continue and have a decent head.
I'm over here in the Farm and Ranch Heritage Museum here in Las Cruces, New Mexico. Also, what I found out, the Farm and Ranch Heritage Museum, it's an actual working ranch. You know, they have about 90 heads of cattle here at the ranch, you know, and they actually sell cattle, you know, and they breed a little bit of cattle. It's not a dairy farm, so they don't have the licensing to milk cows for dairy, but it is a working ranch. This is a gallery inside the museum called The Art of the Plains, and pretty much showcasing and displaying some of the beautiful art, some of the beautiful paintings, you know, depicting the Southwest, life in the Southwest. I think that's Willie Nelson. No, I'm just joking. Wow, check out this weaving machine right here. Pretty cool. Maize or corn was domesticated about 6,000 years ago here in this part of the area, this part of the country. You know, it made a great impact in the way natives lived in this part of the country here in the Southwest. Now, the Farm and Ranch the Farm and Ranch Heritage Museum. It's a museum that's dedicated to the way the natives lived, you know, the way the cowboys lived, the way of life used to be in the 1800s and early 1900s here in the Southwest, here in Las Cruces, in southern New Mexico. Okay, this structure right here is called the Megayon Pit House. This is pretty much the way prehistoric farmers used to live back in the day here in the Southwest and southern New Mexico, probably even in the Texas, in the western part of Texas. As you can see, the homes were pretty much dug into the ground, and they used branches, you know, and hay and grass and mud to cover the roof, to cover the entire home. As you can see, this is where the pit house used to look like from the inside. You know, you have a small little structure, very small little door frame, you know, practically a child can walk through, but it's a very small door frame. And you just walk into a small little hallway down deep into the ground, which is probably like about maybe 2 feet deep into the ground, the rest of the home. You know, and then the Spaniards arrived in the 1600s, or maybe earlier than that, in the late 1500s, they arrived here in New Mexico, you know, and then they started building pretty much more solid structures like this one. And here's an example of one of the homes, you know, a depiction of a home of the way the Spaniards used to build them here when they arrived. This is actually a small home, you know, I'm assuming some of them were a lot larger. Now, but you have here, it's like a chimney, but it's also a stove, I guess, or oven, where you would cook your food. You know, and all these homes were built out of adobe and lumber. And here in the Southwest, lumber is a very rare commodity. So I'm sure the lumber travels probably from the Ruidoso area, San Sacramento Mountains in New Mexico. And this is like a little courtyard, I guess they used to have. You know, a very common thing about Spanish homes back in the 1700s, 1800s. They always had like a little small courtyard. Well, these are some of the tools that were used to create wagon wheels. As you can see, well, let me show you right here. You know, this is a very pretty simple wagon wheel. You know, but I'm sure none of us could build one. You know, and these are some of the tools that they use to build a wagon wheel. Oh wow, this little thing is pretty cool. Well, this was called a rounding machine. Pretty much what it was used for. A blacksmith would use it to bend the metal bar to a continuous circle around that goes around the tire. Pretty much this right here. So this machine right here was pretty much used to bend metal, the metal that would go around the wooden wagon wheel. Pretty awesome. Pretty much some of the farm equipment used in farms. You have an old carriage here. This carriage that was probably upgraded, you know, with modern tires at one point. I'm assuming this wooden carriage, one day it probably, when it was first built, had regular wooden wheels like those right there. You know, you have the mother of invention. You know, someone invented, you know, rubber tires, and someone got the idea, you know what, let's put some rubber tires in this wooden carriage. You know, Henry Ford pretty much created the Model T. He wasn't the first to create a vehicle, but he created the Model T. He was the first to invent the assembly line. You know, but these are some of the vehicles used in the early 1900s. You know, imagine imagine living in 1880 and you're 20 years old. 1880, you're 20 years old, and you grew up pretty much riding these kind of vehicles. Then all of a sudden you're like in your 50s or in your 60s in the early 1900s, and all of a sudden you see this, you know, coming along the road. You know, pretty amazing what people saw between the 1880s, how technology changed between the 1880s to the early 1900s. I mean, pretty amazing time period to have lived, the things people saw. Damn, check out this old wagon right here. You know, this is very, very old. You know, this is pretty cool right here. This is pretty much what they call a foot warmer. And back in the 1800s, you know, even prior to that, they'll put like hot charcoal in there. And when you would travel by wagon, or even if you were at home, I guess that's where you would place your feet to keep them warm in the wintertime. Can you imagine traveling across the Southwest in a little carriage like that? Now that I look at it in person, it's very small. It must have been very uncomfortable to travel across country in that thing. The Mercantile General Merchandise Store. Pretty much the stores of the late 1800s. Stores of the 18th and 1800s were small little towns like El Paso, Las Cruces, small little towns of the Southwest. These are the type of stores that people relied on to buy products, you know, to buy food. Even for the post office, that's a post office right there, you know, where they would get their mail delivered, you know. And it was a general store because you could buy almost anything. You can buy equipment for your farm, for your ranch. Even canned food. Canned food already existed back then, you know, and even guns back then were even sold. Clothing, you know, that's why it was a general store. This museum has a lot to offer when it comes to the way of life in the Las Cruces, in the southern New Mexico area, even all the way to El Paso, from the 1800s all the way to the early 1900s. And it showcases lots of displays like these, talking about the lives of families that lived in this area, in this part of the country, immigrants, that came from different parts of the world, to make a life here in New Mexico, in the land of enchantment, and it's a very awesome museum. I suggest, that you guys come here and visit this museum with your families, with your children, and learn a little bit of history of the Las Cruces area, to include El Paso and the southern New Mexico. Well, that's about it. I try to show you most of the museum. It's a pretty large museum. Very neat to come and visit. Come with your family, your friends. You learn a lot about ranching and farming, the history of the Southwest. Especially the history of southern New Mexico. The life of the rancher, the life of the farmer. The immigrants that migrated here from different parts of the world. The diverse culture and diversity in people. And you have people of Mexican heritage, Anglo heritage. You have people of natives, people, even Spaniards, and just come and enjoy it, But for today, thank you for watching. See you guys later.